this is the way it should have been a year ago. This is the way it should have been 2 years ago. When people drop off the schedule who have been in for more than one visit, it's the provider's job to call them. You know, I'm going to say this again. It's funny. When this thing first hit like 7 weeks ago, everybody was on here, wanted a solution for how to stay afloat, correct? And rightfully so. When you're drowning, you want someone to help you stop drowning, rightfully so. And you throw the life preserver out and you get people back to the shore safely. And now it's time to learn to teach them how to swim. And that's where we are right now. We're coming out the other side of this. And so it's no longer about what do I do today? What do I do today? And there's still a lot of that. And, you know, we had this progression and it went in a lot. This is, and I'm going to use this word. I love this word. It's unprecedented. So I'm not judging anybody. I'm just telling you what I saw and my observations. Because again, all these things were necessary steps. What do I need to do to fucking survive, Jerry? Okay, let's talk about that. Yet we also needed to always have this bit in there of how does this move us forward, right? Because it really, I'm sorry, it wasn't about day-to-day survival. It was about survival. So what do I do today to get me forward till we start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel? And we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel right now, right? We're seeing the light. So as, again, we throw the life preserver out there, and as we're getting our feet back onto dry land, and even as we're getting to dry land, right? Part of the plan is, how do I get to dry land? It wasn't just throw me the life preserver so I could bob out here endlessly for the rest of my life. It was, now let's get back to dry land. Now, once I get back to dry land, let's figure the fuck out how to swim. There had to be an awareness that once I got a hold of that life preserver, I got to get back to land. So what do I need to do? And then once I get back to land, what do I need to do to keep this moving forward, to prevent this from happening again, right? So all that needed to be occurring. So if you are still looking on how to perfect the telehealth side of your business, I'd say right now your focus has gone astray. The telehealth was what we presented to people and what we did for people who needed a solution from us immediately in that date and time. And then we had to be looking, where does the telehealth fit in our businesses? And then we had to look at, what does this mean to me, my business, my clients, and customers going forward? You should have been doing the work as we moved along. So again, I say this about every third or fourth Facebook Live. I've been talking about this, and especially in the middle where it's like, look, beware, you're not selling telehealth services. You're not becoming a telehealth business. You're still in the business of solving people's problems. That's the business you were in before. You happened to do it in clinic only. Okay. So your first question was not, how do I do telehealth? It was, how do I continue to solve my clients' and customers' problems without them being in my clinic? And if that was always the mindset before, was how do I solve their problems? How do I solve their problems? Then adding telehealth was, again, just another step. It was you just kicking your feet, holding onto the floaty, getting back to the beach. Knowing damn well when you got your ass back on the beach, because you were still kicking and you got your breath, and maybe probably more than likely someone was helping you, knowing damn well that once I got my ass back on the beach, I've got to figure out how to not let this happen again. We are there. So the mindset had to be, how am I going to integrate this into my services even after this is over? Because, geez, Jerry, and here we go. I may go back on the water again. I may go back in the water again. I may go back near the water again. I don't want to be stuck in the same situation. So I'm going to go back to my business. And if I go back to my business and do everything the same, I'm fucked. And the things that remain the same are the things I said in there. It's the focus on caring, the focus on getting your customers and clients the results they need. And if you only thought you could do that in clinic, and you're going to come back and only do that in clinic, you still need to be thinking about what needs to change. And I'm going to tell you right now, there are people who are going to go back to just clinic services. That will do fine. That will do okay. If their mindset was already set around, I'm here to help people achieve their goals. I'm not here to bill their fucking insurance. I'm not here to make sure everybody gets scheduled 3 times a week for 4 weeks. I'm not here to make sure, that the insurance is billed properly. No, I'm here to make sure people get what they need. And what that's going to take is, and in my opinion, and this could be anybody out there, they have to be in the clinic to get this. Cool. So I'm going to have to space out my waiting room. I'm going to have to space out my clinic. Maybe I'm going to have to build out some more private space. So those people will do okay. But again, if the mindset is, I got to get more people in here, there are, I've noticed some webinars floating around that were floating around on like day 3 of this. And it was how to integrate telehealth into your business. And it was led by billing people and compliance people. And that was it. There was no business strategy part. There was no clinical part. It was how to manage the billing, because it was run by a bunch of billing people. And I've seen that same webinar popping up, and it popped up this week. And I'm like, if that's the only shit you've been watching, so you can make sure you're billing the right telehealth codes as we come out of this, you're going to have a difficult time. You're going to have a very difficult time. And there were speed bumps along the way, right? The PPP stuff, the am I going to get any fucking money? The how am I put my ass out there. I put my neck out there. I told my family, I told my wife, I told my husband that I was committed and I could get this done. And now here I am with 0 revenue. What do I do next? What you do next is commit a boatload of time to following, this is a repeat, of following up with all those people, engage, probably get a hell of a lot less sleep for the last 6 weeks. But in the meantime, doing what you needed to do for long-term survival. Nothing serves short-term survival. That doesn't serve anybody. So again, adding telehealth, adding anything last 6 weeks, and not knowing where it fit and how it fits is going to be your downfall. So what things remain the same? The things that remain the same are how to run a successful business, plain and simple. And if everybody didn't go home and in their workspace, right, what changes do I need to make on a piece of flip chart paper, sticky notes, or in a notepad, or start a notebook about the changes I need to make and what systems need to be integrated and or updated, then you're gonna get hit hard, right? Follow-ups, welcome videos, things like that. And again, for a lot of people, it's just going to be adding a welcome video and doing a little more work in phase 2 of their patient life cycle, which surprisingly is something else that hasn't changed. If you don't understand your client, customer, patient's life cycle within your business, you're going to have a very, very, very difficult time surviving on the other side of this. If you don't understand how to manage people within your life cycle earlier in the relationship, earlier in their journey with you, you will have a very difficult time on the other side of this. And by very difficult time, I'm trying to be polite and saying you may not have a business, because other people in your community, and I've seen this, and I've been on webinars and I'm hearing this across all industries. People were looking for people to trust. And we said this, and I was on a webinar yesterday with just, it was all business. There had nothing to do with healthcare. And the industry I was listening to said they have found that people have moved to other companies because the company they were working with and trusted couldn't deliver during the last 6 weeks, didn't connect with them, didn't check, I'm taking a couple steps further, but didn't do what they needed to do to stay in contact, to check on their customers. And not only did they not do that, but they even kind of disregarded their current customers, whether through websites or phone calls or emails. They have since moved to competitors and other people who can offer the same service. Sound familiar? Sound familiar? There are more people in your community that can help people with back pain other than you. And what they're finding is people, the public, that are moving over saying, why would I switch back? I get it, but now I'm building this new relationship. And the trust, again, said this many times over the last 7 weeks, the trust that's being built now has more value to it, has more ROI in it. It's easy as hell to lose that trust. So again, the things that haven't changed are understanding and doing what you need to do to make sure people can trust you. That happens further upstream in the life cycle. That happens during brand awareness, during phase 1. That happens during phase 2, when they contact your office. What better place to build trust than before someone shows up? Had a discussion with someone. I'm helping hire a new admin. And I said, we need to set up a bonus structure based on completed plans of care and include the front desk. He said, they said that, well, the front desk really doesn't play a role. That's all on the provider for a completed plan of care. And what was funny is the person he's replacing has dropped the ball on follow-ups and getting people scheduled. So I said, well, how were the completed plans of care working with your past front desk person? I said, you got to take a step back and look at this journey, because this front desk person plays a huge role in what building trust. And what I've told people and what I've showed people is how this building trust earlier results in better metrics, better patient metrics, better business metrics. How many people had a cancel problem? This is the thing going into whatever it was, March 12th. If your cancel rate was 15%, 12, 13, 14, 15% or greater, and you called and canceled everybody and you said, well, everybody's going to come back on the other side of this. Cancel is a trust issue. Cancels are trust issues. They're priority issues. I know a lot of you have been following me and have seen this, and I'm hoping you didn't expect much different than this, because to give you anything different would be a total fucking lie. The things that remain the same are the relationships, the trust, and by the way, I'm going to throw this out there, the ability to sell. Selling is going to become even a bigger attribute and a bigger value. Selling in phase 2, selling in phase 3, right? How does the front desk sell the expert and what they're going to get at the eval? How does the provider then follow through during the evaluation to get through and get agreement on a plan of care? That's selling at the core. So everybody who hates selling, and if you hate selling, click off now. And if you're wondering about better resources to sell, I'd get online right now and order Daniel Pink's To Sell Is Human, because that's probably about the best starter book for selling that I've ever read. To Sell Is Human by Daniel Pink. You should have like 4 or 5. Just give them all away. But I used to buy extra of them because I just give them away, because it's a perfect place for people to say they hate selling or selling doesn't fit in what we do. But the things that remain the same is you better know how to share and educate, share information and educate to get people to buy into what they should be doing. That's called selling. That's selling to the nth degree. Brand awareness, phase 1 of the patient life cycle, client life cycle, is the emphasis there has to be the same, right? Anybody who is selling telehealth is going to be in trouble coming out the other side, because people don't buy telehealth. People don't buy an Alter G. People don't buy exercise. People don't buy manual therapy. They buy the results. So if your ads changed during this whole thing, I would take a step back and go, why? Why? Because you still had to sell the results. How we were going to get the results changed, that could, because there were people out there looking for solutions during this whole thing. How do I get someone to help me with this low back pain? Hey, we're here to help you with low back pain. Oh, I click on there. Hey, we can help you. We use telehealth. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Nobody's buying telehealth. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do and challenge you to do is you still have time to do this stuff. People are getting more phone calls. People are still scheduling telehealth. They're scheduling in clinic. Here's something else I shared on the Wiser and Stronger community last week, and a couple other people chimed in on this, and you should be reaching out now to get people back on the schedule. And why are you calling to get them back on the schedule? Because here, let's think about selling and caring and selling a result. If I called Vincent, whose name is last on the list, and he was a patient of mine who canceled, who I have not seen. Now, follow my progression here. So on March 12th, I called Vincent and said, Vincent, unfortunately, we need to cancel you this week. And we're going to stay in touch. And you called Vincent the following week to see how he was doing. Boy, Vincent, things are getting crazy. How are you? And then you called him again 7 to 10 days later. By the way, you've only called Vince like 5 times total since this whole thing happened. By the way, besides his family, maybe, who else has called Vincent 5 times to see how he's doing? Vincent's reached out to other people to see how they're doing, but nobody's reached out to Vincent. Vincent's got kids at home. He's not working, right? Who called him to see how are you doing? Nobody. If you guys heard my story, the goddamn dog groomers called me, but my healthcare provider didn't. This is no joke, man. I got a call from the dog groomer. And so I call Vincent now today and say, Vincent, I know you still, by the way, as soon as I get Vincent on the phone, I'm going to refer to what he needed, what he wanted from me. And Vincent wanted to get rid of his morning low back pain, and he wanted to get back to the gym. And I say, Vincent, it looks like we're starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel and come out the other side of this thing. And you and I have talked the last few weeks, and I know that morning pain is still persisting, and the gyms are going to probably be in the first or second phase of opening. And I know you want to get back, and I know it's important to you, and we've been working. I made sure you had your home exercise program and doing what you're doing. But Vincent, why don't we get you back on the schedule? Why don't we put you back on the schedule at your old date and time, that Tuesday at 10:30 that you like, and we'll do it out, say, 3 weeks. And then that way, Vincent, you will be ready to hit the ground running when this thing starts. And what I'll do is I'll follow up with you a solid 48 hours before those appointments, and we can confirm or not. Because what I want for you, Vincent, is for you to have your old date and times, and I want you to get back to CrossFit and we got to get rid of that morning pain. How's that sound to you, Vincent? And Vincent schedules. Good for him, good for you. That is an example of what you should have been doing before. Don't get me wrong. These are the same call, same relationship. So this is what cracks me up. And by the way, the physical therapist, hear me on this, the physical therapist should be making those calls because they owned the relationship. When Vincent got canceled, he had already started physical therapy with you. The provider owned the relationship. The provider makes the phone calls, not your front desk. This is the way it should have been a year ago. This is the way it should have been 2 years ago. When people drop off the schedule who have been in for more than one visit, it's the provider's job to call them. I've been training and teaching people how to do this forever. And my point is, these are the things that you should have been doing so that when this came, this was a no-brainer. Now, here's the good news. I fucked this shit up for 11 years without a pandemic because I wasn't doing this stuff. So what I'm saying is, as you come out the other side of this, just start doing this stuff. Start looking at your follow-up systems. Start looking at the relationships. How are we gaining trust on the front end and then building, right? They should arrive with trust. They meet their provider, the trust builds. How do you maintain that trust throughout? You've got to understand what the patient life cycle and all the touch points. And I'm going to tell you, it's work on the front end. Yet here's the deal. Once you do it, it'll pay off. If your cancel rate, you tell me, if your cancel rate went from 12% to 8%, how much time, energy, and money would that save you, your business, your providers, and your customers, clients, patients? So those are the relationship things, the selling, by the way. By the way, how did that all start, right? How did I know as the provider that Vincent wanted to get back to CrossFit and get rid of his morning pain? As the provider, when I called him this week, today, to put him back on the schedule. Why? Because my front desk asked him this before he ever arrived in the clinic, and then I confirmed it during the eval. And then I made sure every test during my eval verbally related to how that tied into getting back to CrossFit and getting rid of the morning pain. I then reference those goals on every single visit. I reference those goals with every exercise and every intervention I do. It's really not work, because that's the way your brain's working 90% of the time when you're seeing people. You're just not verbalizing and you're not understanding how it all fits together. And it starts at the front desk. And that's what I love. When I asked you, how did the provider know about Vincent's goals? You're thinking he asked them at the eval. And I say, no, he confirmed them during the eval because your front desk got that information from him. Because your front desk, go back to where we started here. Your front desk doesn't sell physical therapy, doesn't sell manual therapy, doesn't sell exercises, doesn't sell telehealth. Your front desk sells the results and the desired outcome that Vincent wants when he called and said, I need physical therapy for my low back pain. And your front desk says, I'm so glad you called us today, Vincent, here at ABC Physiotherapy. We can definitely help you with your back pain. And then during the process of that call, they get Vincent's desired outcome. And when Vincent hangs up, he now knows he called the right place because they are a solution to his problem. Physical therapy solved nothing for nobody ever. So you can't sell physical therapy. You can't sell physical therapy. Even the people who call you and say, I've had physical therapy and it helped me before, and you never asked them what, how, when, where, why, it wasn't physical therapy that solved their problem. The very first question, let's go into this because we're talking about building trust and the things you should be doing. So I'm going to tell you what to do. When someone says, I had physical therapy before and it helped, and I remember I do secret callers. I hear this. And your front desk says, oh, that's great, and goes on, my head explodes. Because what are the only things the research correlates with outcomes in physical therapy? Expectations and alliance. I'll go run around with anybody on this. So Vincent says, yeah, I've had physical therapy before and it helped a lot. And your front desk says, oh, that's great, Vincent. So glad you called us. If you don't mind sharing, here it is, here it is, here it is, here it is, here it is. What was it that helped you? And whatever comes out of Vincent's mouth next are the keys to the gold mine, are the keys to start building a relationship and to understand what Vincent has experienced in his life that helps him, that will help you to build trust and to manage expectations, right? This is it, right, Vincent? Expectations and alliance. And then what happens traditionally when we don't understand our patient journey within our practice, within our business, within our gym, we wait. We wait. Tick tock, tick tock. Vincent calls my clinic on May 1st. I schedule him for May 9th. Nothing happens between May 1st and May 9th. Vincent shows up. I hand him some paperwork. He signs it. He walks in the room with the provider, and he now has 45 minutes. The provider now has 45 minutes to manage and set all expectations and to build an alliance and get buy-in on a plan of care. And I say, you just wasted 9 days. You could have been building trust, managing and setting expectations so that when that person, when Vincent walked in with the provider, I'm going to use some selling terms. Vincent was pre-suaded. Vincent was pre-loaded. Vincent was pre-qualified because we knew we put the right person in front of the provider because we made sure their wants and needs aligned with what we can deliver. When your front desk asks someone, so what was it, Jerry, that helped you in the past with your low back pain? Oh, the hands-on work. When I got hands-on work, I mean, we did nothing but hands-on work. And you know your clinic is exercise only. You tell me what happens next. You get to make a determination. For some clinics, we refer them out because it's the right thing to do. This is why just getting people scheduled will never work. This is why your drop-off rate is 10, 20, 30%. All this stuff. Realize it's been like 12 years of watching this. The secret callers are insanely telling, and they are insanely consistent in a very unfortunate way. Right? If the goal is to get people scheduled, then you're setting your business and your providers up for failure. Get people scheduled is one of 10 things that should happen on a first phone call. Because really, when you're doing those things that haven't, so again, these are all the things that never changed and must change if you weren't doing them. So again, everything's changed, yet so much remains the same. So you have a choice now of what to do coming out the other side of this. So again, anybody reading through this and sees Vincent's post about expectations and alliance, he's 130% right. Anybody who thinks it's just on one member of the rehab team is 130% wrong, right? Maxi Mechek has shared with me, and mind you, this is in other industries, but showing there's an alliance built with every member of the team. And for us to be so egotistical and read all of our research and think that that's why you haven't heard me say therapeutic alliance. I haven't said that once. That's the first time I said it, and Vincent didn't type it in. I talk about a team alliance because it's a team alliance that brings success, patient success. And everything I'm telling you leads to patient success. Patient success happens, and then business success happens, and then personal success happens. And by personal, I mean everybody. Less burnout, more money in the bank, better pay. I mean, it's that simple. Patient success, business success, personal success. Most clinics have flip-flopped number 2 and number 3, which leads to what? All the fucked up everything we have. Provider burnout, churn and burn, drop. Anybody who doesn't know their drop-off rate is lying to themselves. To tell me you want to start a business to help as many people in your community as possible, and your drop-off rate is 20 to 30%, you're lying to yourself. So get back today and start doing this stuff I'm talking about. So the things that haven't changed are the relationship, the trust. So alliance, expectations, understanding your customer client's life cycle, managing your business, managing your team around this life cycle, and achieving trust and managing and setting expectations earlier in the journey, earlier upstream, and then making sure once expectations are set, they're delivered. Once expectations are managed, boom. Because remember, you don't have to, here's a big misnomer and a belief that is incorrect. You don't have to exceed expectations. You have to set them and you have to meet them. And I've said this 100 million times. In healthcare, expectations are so fucking low, you'd have to be fucking stupid not to be able to deliver them. And the easiest way to do, yes, I just said that. The easiest way to deliver an expectation is to tell someone what's going to happen next. That's what I understand. Think about your personal relationships. When you get pissed off and you have arguments, this is because expectations weren't met. Things weren't communicated. Well, I thought you said this. Mm-hmm. It's the same, people. We gotta take the last 6 weeks. There was time in there. And again, go back to the beginning. We were thrown the life preserver. Right? We kicked ourselves back to shore. Now we're standing on land. Now it's time to learn how to swim. So again, you're going to take some of those skills that got you back to shore, right? So everything comes together during this. But again, if you're just starting today to go, fuck, what should I be doing differently? You're going to have a struggle. Yet you can. Because I've just told you all of this stuff. Understand your patient's life cycle. Move alliance and trust building further upstream. Start managing and setting expectations further upstream. Start asking better questions. Have you had physical therapy before? Yes. Oh, great. How'd it go? I got better. Great. Boom. Whoa. Time out. You missed the big take home. Expectations. Oh, really? What helped you? Oh, man. When I did, these 3 exercises, you freaking write that all down and give it to the PT. That person's going to arrive. They're going to complete a plan. They're going to arrive. They're going to pay. They're going to stay, and they're going to do your marketing for you. Getting someone scheduled it's flipping a coin. It's playing Russian roulette. The more you do here, it's like Russian roulette. Wouldn't you rather play Russian roulette with no bullets in the gun? So your front desk, it's basically when you wait and give it to your provider to set expectations and build an alliance in 45 minutes, and therefore sell a plan of care, you just keep putting more bullets in the gun. You just spin in the chamber. When you move it further upstream, you're taking bullets out. By the time the patient shows up, the chambers are empty. And your provider's going, cool, here's all the info I needed. I got to clarify this. I got to go through my objective testing referring to these goals so they know why and what they're doing refers to their goals, not to the shit I think they need. By the way, if you think about it, regardless of what their expectations are and what they want, their goals, you can spin everything you want to do back to achieving their goals. So if ultimately I want to get back to CrossFit and I want to get rid of that morning pain, you can start to sell some hands-on work, even if they said exercise got them better, based on what? Getting them back to the exercise center. So it makes the provider's life easier. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Giving you some tools, giving you some ideas, giving you this mindset around what you need to do that remains the same. What are those things I should have been doing? Get out of the mindset of I've got to, start selling telehealth and telling everybody. No, you just got to tell people you have the solution for them. Oh, what do you got? Well, help me to understand your story a little better so I can make sure we're the right fit for you. And then maybe it's the exercise, maybe it's the in-clinic, maybe it's a telehealth visit, but sell the result. And by the way, the easiest way to sell a result is ask someone, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want to get back to? Why are you calling? Well, I have low back pain. Okay, I understand that. We can definitely help you with that. But I want to be able to make sure that we're not wasting your time, money, or energy. So tell me a little bit about your story, how this happened, what's been going on, and most importantly, what it is you're looking to change, what you want to get back to, what you want to get rid of. It's that simple. Just start doing that on the first phone call. Today, start calling people. Today, what do you need? What do you want? It's the what do you want part. Everybody needs physical therapy. That's why they're calling. I need physical therapy. I need to get scheduled. And when your team schedules people for physical therapy for low back pain, anybody can do that. You commoditized yourself. This is the stuff I love. How do we connect those dots? How do we really leverage the pre-arrival so that the provider can just be the provider and be the expert they went to school to be? We're throwing way too much at the providers. It's funny, we ask way too much of our providers and way too little of our front desk. And what do? We load a bunch of tasks onto our front desk. And we don't let them be the setup man, baseball analogy, the setup person for the closer. Right? You got to get to the closer. So you got to make sure everything's working perfectly to the closer. And everybody knows great closers were great closers for 3 freaking outs. I swear to God, it's the weirdest thing when you look at the stats, right? Closer has to get 3 outs versus 6 outs versus 5 outs, right? So we got to deliver, boom. 9th inning, we only need 3 outs. We have a 1-run lead. I mean, that's it. And that's what you're doing for your provider. You're delivering and saying, here it is. We set up the tee, and your provider will go, cool. This is what I'm good at. Here are the goals. Here are the expectations. Here's their story. So you don't have to repeat yourself. So we can make this more efficient and we can get them bought into the plan of care. When the patient cancels less, it makes your provider's life easier, makes the patient's life easier, it makes the business's life easier.